structure that he's talking about. You can see a massive fall in the amount of public construction in the US, and you can see there is a need, obviously, to probably push that up. Problem is he hasn't got the money at this stage. So the only question I have is that if the US has a lot of these policies implemented that Trump wants to put in, he potentially can create inflation. Now, the last 30 or 40 years, a lot of governments around the world have been trying to keep inflation down. They've been successful in the last 10 to 15 years keeping inflation down. The only issue is that if you get some very bad economics that does create inflation by pushing up costs of consumer goods, through creating tariff barriers, you're potentially going to push up the inflation. Now, this is expectations. They're saying that the US and Europe are starting to push up the expectations of inflation. And inflation tends to get exported around the world. If the US starts to get inflation, it'll probably flow through to the rest of the world, including Australia. And that's not a good thing generally for economies. So bringing back to manufacturing in the US, as I said, they've lost millions of jobs, but really the issue is that those jobs were low paid, boring, repetitive, and menial type jobs. And jobs that people really don't want to go into these days. The service sector is the biggest employer in most developed economies, and manufacturing is a very small part of the rest of the economy, usually 10 to 12%. So the jobs are really not going to be there, even if you did bring back manufacturing. And people really don't want to go back to those jobs, I don't think. So if you brought those jobs back, it's going to be mechanised, it's going to be robotised, it's got to be high levels of mechanical and inputs to be able to make them competitive. And Japan and Germany have done that. They've been able to keep their efficiencies going by making a lot more robotics and cutting people out of the system, out of their factories. But the main issue is it's probably not going to happen. So he's not going to be able to live on that promise. Running a large deficit. Yeah. So I'm saying that basically he's not going to be able to attack the trade deficit by bringing manufacturing back to the US. And as I said before, the main issue is that the US doesn't actually. It's not a problem of the US not producing things. It's a problem of the fact they consume too much. They're roughly consuming about 7 or 8% of what they produce each year in GDP terms. So if you could cut back the consumption, you can actually fix the trade deficit. And one way you can do that, which Australia's done, is you start to have compulsory super. In the US, you have superannuation systems. They have 401k plans. But you can take your money out of your super fund anytime you like. You just pay a tax penalty. So in the US, people have superannuation, but they don't treat it in the same way we have in Australia, where it's compulsory, it's locked away until your preservation age. So potentially, this is quite radical thinking for Americans, but to have a superannuation that's compulsory would probably lock up a lot more savings and help the trade deficit. But at this stage, that's not on the agenda in America, so I don't think that'll happen. So, but coming back to manufacturing, even when you do have successful manufacturing like Germany and Japan, you do find that they have to subsidise their industries to keep them going, because there's plenty of low-wage countries where you can manufacture and assemble cars or electronics, and they've got to compete with it. They compete with it only because they, in the German case, their car manufacturing is a high-end manufacturers. They don't produce a lot of the small-end. I think the 3 Series BMW is not produced in Germany. It's only the 6 Series, or the 5 Series and the 6 Series. So reducing corporate tax rate, this is the one that's got Wall Street excited. In that issue is that they say they're trying to reduce the tax rate down to 15–20%. Got to get Congress approval for that. Of course, the problem is if you lose that revenue, you've got to make it somewhere else, but potentially that just runs up the deficit if you don't. So at the end of the day, that's going to be a good thing for people like yourselves, because if profits go up in America because you've got less tax, that feeds back into your profits that you get back in your dividends, in your distributions, in your funds. So that could be a good thing, but you've got to get Congress approval on that, and potentially he's got to find some money to pay for it. The only issue, of course, is that we've just reduced our tax rates on company tax by 1.5% over time. They're really cutting back taxes substantially, and it's a real hit to their budget. One argument, though, is it's probably not going to make too much difference because a lot of these big companies get huge tax breaks anyway. If they're going to cut back taxes, it's probably not going to have a huge impact because the amount of tax breaks they already get. So at the end of the day, corporate tax rates are down in the US. You can see at one stage the US had a 52% tax rate. It's down to around 35, and then trying to push it down to around 15-20%. But the possibility of that happening is really pushing the share market in the US. You can see here, since Trump's been elected, inaugurated, the actual share market in the US is up about 15-20%. So people in Wall Street think it's going to be a good thing for Trump, and particularly if he can reduce the tax rates. So this is just to say, in the US, people are optimistic. Share market's going up, things are looking bright. It's just a matter of whether Trump can bring in these issues. One thing he's done already, though, is to put a restriction on people from Muslim countries coming into America. And of course that's going to put a lot of people off going to America for travel and to study. And the major issue there is that the US is a major producer of education services, so it's the #1 provider of education services in the world, and Australia's #3, and Britain is #2. Now, if you had a choice as a young student of going to America, Australia or Canada or Britain, probably people are going to choose somewhere else apart from the US, and that's going to have potentially some implications along the way. The good thing for Australia is we're possibly going to be a recipient of some of that benefit, and we've got an education industry in Australia which is booming already. Tourism is another issue. Potentially, if you're going to go to the US and you're a Chinese citizen, you might think twice about going there. It's going to be this year or next year that the Chinese are going to be our biggest people coming in as tourists. New Zealand used to be the biggest tourism market for us, but potentially education is going to be a positive industry for Australia from Mr. Trump helping us. But just a point, a bit about free trade. As I said, the big thing is putting up tariff barriers, trying to fix these trade deficits sensible by just putting up tariff barriers doesn't work. We tried that in our industries, from textiles, clothing, footwear. It didn't work. But we've got to remember that since the 45, a lot of the free trade we have now was set up under what we call the Bretton Woods Agreement. Shane Oliver probably could do a 2-hour presentation on the Bretton Woods Agreement for you, but I won't go into too much detail today, but it basically set up the parameters for free trade. The Great Depression showed that tariff barriers didn't work, and it actually made the Great Depression worse. And people at the end of the Second World War just said, we don't want to go back to it again. We want a society where we get jobs for people coming back from the war. We want to create a wealthy society. And the smarter people around the world, like Milton Keynes, got together, and in America they came up with the Bretton Woods Agreement to make that work. And that's what we live under now. A lot of the free trade is only because of that agreement. So, as I said, Australia and New Zealand tried a lot of protection of textiles, clothing, footwear. All we ended up with was expensive, not very well made cars or other products. And eventually the governments had to come to a point of putting on quotas to stop imports coming in. At one stage we had to have 3 cars manufactured in Australia to get 1 car imported. That was to stop the import of overseas cars. There was quotas on things like all the textiles, like singlets, underpants, all these things where it had quotas on it. You couldn't import them more than a quota. So the whole thing was just to try and keep Australian industry going, and we just weren't competitive. And consequently, mainly under Keating and Hawke, they cut back those tariff barriers, and today we are pretty much a free trade country. The main issue is that we're much better off with free trade than we were with protection, and we've got much cheaper goods. We all have much more buying power with the things we buy, and it's because we can buy from the best countries who produce those goods. The example here of just a clothing index, just a quick example of in the late 80s we had lots of protection, pushing up prices. Then by the time that China came into the world economy and started producing a lot of these textiles, clothing, footwear, bottom end stuff, we saw a rapid drop in pricing in that area. And so that sort of just shows you that we're back to what we were pricing in terms of back to 1998. If we still had those protection, we'd still be paying lots of very high prices for our textiles, clothing, footwear. So that's just a quick run through that, you know, a plea for free trade. A lot of people say it doesn't work, it does work, and it's just that we get the benefit already in Australia. So the basic story is, I think that the main thing is that benefit us would be a reduction in company tax in the US, but we don't want a lot of protection to happen through the world, because if one country starts initiating, other countries will start to retaliate, and it doesn't produce a good result for anyone. So around 50% of your overseas portfolios in America, both your share portfolio and your bond portfolios. So if we keep America going, that'll be good for you. And the other issue is we're not sure how much of Trump's policies will get through. It looks like some of the weirder stuff probably won't get through Congress, more from the Republican side rather than the Democrat side. And he's in the early days of his presidency, so we'll just have to see what happens. So, but anyway, that just gives you a bit of an idea of what the economic side gives you. And just to say that hopefully sanity will provide in the USA. So thanks for that, and now Shane will give us an update on the world economy and what's happening. So we all know Shane, often on media, on the news, talking about various things that crop up. And we're lucky to have him every year coming down and give us an update on what's going on. So thanks, Shane.
When I was last down, it was back in August last year, so we're in between Brexit and we're yet to have Trump. We've had both. But anyway, Russell's given us a great overview in terms of Donald Trump and his policies and what they might mean if indeed they do get passed. And what I'll try and do is provide a broader overview in terms of markets. So, off we go. Make sure I've got the right direction. There we go. So, I would have had something like this last August. I had a list like this, I think. And I'd like to put it up because it just covers the things that have been in the media over the last 3 or 4 years. And the point of putting it up is to say that there's been lots of things to worry about. So if you turn on the media, if you actually access social media or what have you, you'd find there's been a big worry list. Go back 4 years ago, people were talking about tapering US quantitative easing or slowing it down. Then, of course, the Fed eventually moved to raising interest rates. Along the way there, we've had worries about Ebola, Ukraine, Greece, Brexit, and so on, the Brexit decision, Brazil and Russia in recession, and so on and so forth. Massive worry list. And yet, despite all of that, the returns on investment markets in a well-diversified portfolio have actually been quite reasonable. So what I'm trying to show there is the average return for the major asset classes in blue for the last 12 months, last 2016, and the green bars are for the previous year. Now you don't need to look at the numbers there except to say that they're all above zero. That's the point. And the average return on a balanced superannuation fund or a well-diversified portfolio over the 12 months to December last year was about 7.5%. Last 3 years it was about 7.5%. While I was just sitting there, I got the update on some of our funds for the year to March, and I think it's now around 10 or 11%. So the point about all that is that yes, there's been volatility along the way. Yes, there's worries, Trump, Brexit, blah blah blah, but it hasn't been a bad environment for investors who can try and turn down the noise and try and stick to a strategy. So, I usually end on this stuff in a giant rush and there's not enough time to cover it off, but it's my favourite 9 rules for investing. And the first one is, I think there was a guy called Don Stemmer, an economist who was around up until a few years ago. He retired, Russell, sorry, no, Dr. Don Stanley. He always used to say there's three things you should leave your children with. One of them is a good education. Another one is an understanding or appreciation of the power of compound interest, and I've forgotten the third one. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, power of compound interest. It's almost like magic. And I like putting this chart up. It shows the value down there somewhere. Value of $1 invested in Australian shares, Australian cash, so you get money down in bank deposits, or Australian government bonds in 1900. That $1, if you left your money there and reinvested your interest, or reinvested your dividends, or reinvested the payments on government bonds, that $1 today would be worth just $229 in cash, $836 in bonds, and over $468,000 in shares. Now, how does that happen? It's because the returns build on themselves through time. Now, if you were thrown off along the way, I know we don't have 117 years, I know that, but over any working period, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you find that shares will deliver you higher returns. Now, of course, you can get thrown off along the way, and there's lots of periods that get thrown off, around World War I, around the Great Depression, World War II, the early 50s, that's the Brady Bunch recession there. I've often referred to the Brady Bunch in these seminars. My favourite TV show got canned and Aussie shares fell 59%, so you could have been thrown off by that one. The 87 crash, and that's the GFC. So lots of occasions along the way, all very scary. Sometimes shares wobble around for a decade or so after big falls. But if you'd stuck through it, through time, you would have ended up with a far bigger portfolio. So that's what I call compounding. Returns building on top of returns. So if I can go back to the previous one, always a cycle. Things go up and down. That's just the way markets work. They don't go up in a straight line, although it seems like share markets have gone up in a straight line since I was here last August. So there's been a few setbacks, but generally it's almost been straight up, including around the US election. So things do go up and down. Don't expect markets just keep sailing up like they have lately. Sooner or later we will have a 5% correction or something like that. Sooner or later we'll have a bear market. We just need to put it in context of the longer term trend, which has been quite reasonable. Try and invest for the long term. Try and diversify. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. You think about the last 5, 6, 7 years, since the GFC, you can argue, well, global shares might have been a better bet than Australian shares. Prior to the GFC, Australian shares were a better bet than global shares. So you've got to have a bit of both. So diversify. Try and turn down the noise. Now, we're bombarded with media these days. When I get in the car in the morning, what do? Yes, I turn the radio on. I listen to ABC News Radio. I listen to the first, because they give those 10-minute updates every 30 minutes in the morning. I listen to that, and then I think, that's it for me. I've got my news update. I'm not going to waste my whole day on social media endlessly going through these issues. You don't need to. A lot of it is really just a distraction. I'm quite sure if over the last few weeks, last few days, you were watching the TV and seeing the devastation of the floods in down the northeast coast of Australia, you would think this is a total disaster, we're all ruined. The reality is it's not as simple as that. That is a small part of Australia. Yes, it's horrible for those involved, but it's certainly not a disaster for the economy overall. And I'm reminded of the banana effect from Cyclone Yasi back in 2001. We had Cyclone Yasi, Larry a few years before that, wiped out the banana crop. Banana prices went through the roof. People were talking about $40 for a banana smoothie. What happened? We were not ruined. The Reserve Bank did not jack up interest rates dramatically on the back of higher bananas. We all just moved across to apples and strawberries and other things, and eventually the banana crop came back. Yes, it's rough for those involved. You've got to put these things in perspective in terms of the overall economy. So try and turn down the noise. If you're going to buy, try and buy low when something's cheap. Say if you want to buy a property. Yes, Sydney, I know we've been rabbiting on about this one for a while. In fact, last year we got a presentation on Australian property. But there is an issue there. Sydney property prices have gone through the roof for 5 years. Over the last 5 years, the property price in Sydney has gone up 75%. Average property price, average wages over that period are up about 15%. So very poor affordability. Now you might be inclined to think, well, they've gone up 75%, surely the next 5 years they'll go up another 75%. Well, you can bet your bottom dollar they probably won't. And if I was thinking about investing, I'd think, well, maybe not such a good place to buy. If I really want to buy property, I'll look at some part of Australia where the prices might have gone down or gone sideways. And on that front, we go to Perth. Perth property prices today are back to where they were in 2007, where they were 10 years ago. So if you're into buying and selling, trading around, always buy when something is down, and if you have to sell, sell it when it's up and expensive. Beware the crowd at extremes. One guide to the crowd is what I call the magazine cover index. And I love the Economist magazine. They have beautiful covers on them. And there are two covers from the Economist magazine. One in about November 2009 had a beautiful picture there of the Christ on the top of the mountain there taking off. Christ the Redeemer, I think it's called. I've been there once. I've got Christo, they call it. But in any case, Brazil taking off, and this was November 2009. And then a few years later, they ran a story on Brazil blowing up, not doing so well. Has Brazil blown? Price is smashing back into the mountain. Now, the interesting thing is that if you'd sold your Brazilian shares back in November 2009, the index back then, they called it the IBOV, was 73,000 points. Don't get too obsessed with levels here, just that's what it was, 73,000 points after a huge run through last decade. So you would have sold at 73,000 points. Just as the Economist magazine is telling you how fantastic Brazil is. That was the time to sell. In 2013, when the second cover appeared, the Brazilian share market had fallen to 45,000 points. And of course, at the moment, if you bought it there at 45,000 in 2013, you would have suffered a little bit of a loss because it went even a little bit lower than that until a couple of years ago. It's now at 65,000 points. So the point about all it is, it might be kind of complicated, but often the crowd, by the time something becomes really obvious, it gets incorporated in a popular magazine. And when the magazine is talking about it, that's often the time to do the opposite. So when the Economist magazine was saying Brazil was taking off, it looks fantastic, I would say, well, I've got to be a bit wary here, because if they're talking about it, it might have peaked. And later, when the Economist magazine is saying Brazil has blown it, maybe that's the time to buy. So you're trying to do the opposite to what the crowd is suggesting, because the crowd is invariably wrong at the extremes. So what else was there? Focus on investments you understand, and oftentimes we don't do that, but we've made that big mistake with the GFC. A lot of very complicated investments that blew up, and the industry, the financial industry, often gets itself into these stupid mistakes, couldn't even unravel it successfully, and we had the GFC as a result of all of that. And finally, seek advice, and I have mentioned to you, those in the past, I do actually have a financial planner. I'm sure if I was in Canberra, I'd have Russell, but I'm not in Canberra, I'm in Sydney, so I have another. So in any case, 9 rules, always keep those things in mind. And how do I see things? This is a summary here. Now, you don't have to read all that stuff. I'm sure if you want to have copies of these slides, I usually say if you suffer from insomnia, these will help you, they'll put you to sleep. If you want to get copies of these slides, just ask Russell and he can forward them to you. Key point, I think, is the global economy is looking a lot healthier. A year ago, back in February last year, the Aussie share market had fallen 20% from its high in April, May of 2015. So despite what I said, there has been volatility, there has been markets going up and down. They came down into February last year. What a concern about the global economy going back into recession, worries that we're going to have another GFC. This was the big concern around February, March last year. The reality has been the world did not go into recession, global growth picked up. And that was occurring before Donald Trump came along. So yes, Donald Trump has provided a bit of a boost, talk of tax cuts, infrastructure spending and so on, but the main thing supporting markets has been a pickup in growth and a pickup in profits. And my feeling is that will probably continue for some time yet. I won't go into details here, but we're still in a world of very low inflation. We're still seeing a lot of competition out there. Even though the US economy has picked up, its inflation rate is just below 2% on their preferred measure of inflation. Even in Australia, our inflation rate, 1.5%. So very low inflation, yes, the US central bank is raising interest rates, but it's going to be a very gradual and slow process. This is not 2006 when central banks around the world were all raising interest rates at the same time that ultimately gave us tougher economic conditions starting in 2007. So interest rates generally remaining low, a few more hikes coming out of the Fed in the US, but other central banks on hold, including our own Reserve Bank. We saw the Reserve Bank yesterday leave interest rates on hold, and I think that's probably going to continue for a while yet. I won't go through everything here. Term deposits, I would have told you this story a year ago. My mother is not happy. And of course, we've seen a continuation of very low bank deposit rates. That's going to continue for some time to come. I can't see that changing anytime soon. What about share markets? I have to say, as I was saying earlier, shares do not go up in a straight line. Inevitably, we're going to have a correction at some point this year. Markets will go through a bit of a fall, maybe on some of those worries about Trump, or it could be something else, I don't know. But it's inevitable at some point we'll get some sort of correction or pullback in markets. But the underlying picture, if I'm right, and the global economy continues to improve and profits continue to rise, the underlying picture should be okay for share markets. So, why do I say the global economy looks okay? So it's basically this chart here, which I would have had a year ago, but it didn't look anywhere near as healthy as it does now. So what I've shown there on the left-hand side is world GDP, that's the GFC there, big hole. World GDP is the red line. The blue line is a survey of manufacturers. Do they feel happy or sad? And you can see that they're feeling reasonably happy. Manufacturing companies, and likewise over here, the line for services. Services companies around the world feeling reasonably happy about things. So that tells me that global conditions are looking okay. So if we move on to the US, I think Russell used that chart over there, and you know the story, very low unemployment, very high levels of employment. You've got consumer confidence. The number came out, I've got a little update to this, which came out the other day, which showed consumer confidence in the US at its highest level since December 2000. Now part of that's a Donald Trump thought of tax cut sort of thing, but a big part of it is a recognition that the US economy is stronger. There are more jobs out there. And that's why consumers, I think, at the end of the day, are feeling a bit happier. Mind you, I think Donald Trump is the least popular US president. He was that when he came into office. So there's a massive chunk of Americans who don't really like him. So for a mob who say we love him, mainly those states in the Midwest, there'd be another mob who say we hate him. So those two effects would probably cancel each other out. So I'd have to say, well, why is consumer confidence? That's the blue line that showed there. Why is it so high? It must be due to other factors. In other words, the underlying economy looks okay. So then we come to Donald Trump. I think Russell's pretty much covered off this, but I must admit, when I watch Donald Trump, you sort of sometimes I'm led to despair. You know, how could this guy be saying all these sorts of things? How could this be happening? I guess I've spent much of my career thankful that we have a more open economy, that we don't, as Paul Keating once said, have the family home with the Astra in the corner and all that sort of stuff. He actually had a quote along those lines, I loved it at the time. We've moved on, and the reason I think that the Holden I drive is a better quality one than the Holdens around 30 years ago is because of free trade. Now ultimately, Holden's closing down, and I'm yet to decide what I'll do with my car, because it's now getting on a little bit, whether I'll get another Holden or not. But that personally is a sad thing for me. But I think at the end of the day, as Russell's expanded on, we have benefited from free trade. We're getting a whole bunch of things in Woolworths that weren't there many years ago. That variety has come because of free trade and more open economy. And so therefore, the sort of things Donald Trump says, putting aside his views on women and social issues and so on, the sort of things he says about economics just strike me as totally stupid at times. I think he just doesn't understand things. Why does America have a trade deficit? Because as Russell said, it spends roughly about 5 or 6% more of its national income each year than it earns. So if I'm a household and I spend more than I earn, I have a trade deficit with the rest of the world. That's not rocket science. They have to lend me money to pay for that. And that's basically what America's doing. It is spending more than it earns, and it has to borrow money from the rest of the world. That's in simple terms. So, if he says, okay, well, we can't have a trade deficit anymore, we're going to tax these imports, he's still going to solve this problem that they spend more than they earn. And so simple tariff barriers won't solve that issue. In any case, at other points in time, I'm led to laughter on Donald Trump, and I don't know what's funnier, watching some of his stuff or watching Saturday Night Live on YouTube. And it got to a point recently where a newspaper in the Dominican Republic, they're somewhere down south of the USA, ran a story on Israeli-US relations, and they mistook a photo of Alec Baldwin playing Donald Trump for Trump himself, and they ran Donald Trump, Alec Baldwin's Trump as Donald Trump, and there he is there. So you can get a bit of a laugh out of some of this stuff, and I guess in time we will move on. So, in any case, as I mentioned before, Donald Trump is extremely unpopular. This shows the popularity of people in presidential campaigns, net favourability rating. Hillary Clinton wasn't much popular either, but Donald Trump was the worst of them all. Even if you go back to some of these others through time, such as Nixon, was far more in favour. Nixon fell out of favour later on when he was found to have done certain things, but no one's been as unpopular as Donald Trump. So that leaves him a little bit behind. I think, I won't go through everything here because Russell's already covered off Donald Trump pretty well, but the one thing you know about him is he's got a massive megaphone, and he's not afraid to use it. He's very thin-skinned. So if someone says something that he doesn't like Meryl Streep at the Academy Awards or whatever it is, he will lash out at that. If he doesn't like Boeing, he'll lash out at them. And if he doesn't like Lockheed Martin, same story. This can cause a lot of volatility, and it can cause uncertainty in investment markets. So you have to be aware that under a Trump administration, you've got Donald Trump himself, very unstable personality, I think. Some would call him a classic narcissistic personality disorder. There could be a real issue there. You've got these issues around the Russian connection, which could ultimately lead to an impeachment at some point in time. You've got a whole bunch of noise going on here, which could cause volatility. At the end of the day, though, as long as his focus is still on those business-friendly things like tax cuts, deregulation, infrastructure, as opposed to getting into trade wars, then share markets will be reasonably happy. Now, as Russell pointed out, there is only limited scope for him to do many of those things in any case. But just think about, so far this year, you may or may not agree with this, but Donald Trump's already approved the Keystone XL Petroleum pipeline. So basically we'll take oil from the tar sands, whatever it is, in Canada, down to the refineries in the US and possibly to export. Now, environmentally, you can choose to disagree on that. There are issues with that. But from a business point of view, you can argue he's already getting on. He's doing his deregulation stuff. And that's why share markets are saying, we don't have a moral compass. All we know is that he's doing things that are positive for American companies, like energy companies. Agree, disagree with that, but that's the way the market is looking at it. So he's already getting some of his policies through. So, enough on Trump. I want to move on. In a few years' time, I think we will move on from Trump. Eurozone. I think you gather I'm probably not a great Trump fan. I mean, Hillary was my person. I haven't always been in favour of Democrats. I would say Ronald Reagan. Maybe in hindsight, when I was back at university back then when he was president, I didn't like him. But in hindsight, I look back and think, well, he actually did some good things for the US economy. And he is someone you would have respect for. Whereas I have a different issue with Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, as an investor, I have to put that aside. And I think you have to as well to some degree. You've got to look at his policies and the overall environment we're in, not just whether you agree or disagree with some of the issues around Donald Trump. So that's what I'm trying to do here, trying to give you an objective view of the whole thing. And as I said, at the end of the day, if his favourable pro-business policies prevail, then that's an okay environment for investment markets. So what about Europe? I think it looks okay. The chart there shows Eurozone GDP. Whoa, gone too far. Eurozone GDP in red, that's the GFC again, up, down we go, and we're currently sort of doing okay. The blue line is confidence in Eurozone manufacturers, and they're feeling reasonably happy. Whether it's Italy, Spain, or whatever, Germany, France, they're feeling reasonably happy. So that's why the Eurozone, I think, looks reasonably good. What about Brexit? A love that little photo there. Red picture of the UK leaving the EU. I got that out of Twitter recently. It's the beauty of technology these days. You see something you like, you click snipping tool, colour it in, and then you copy it to wherever you want to go. So, does it really matter? Are they just a puff of cloud floating off in the horizon? I sort of wonder. The UK is 2.5% of the world economy. They take 3.5% of our exports. I think we're devoting a lot of hot air to debating the Brexit issue, whereas I think in the great scheme of things, it's really a distraction. The real issue is, will the rest of Europe hold together? Because if someone in the Eurozone leaves, then obviously that might be an issue, because other countries might leave and the whole Eurozone could crumble, and that could cause turmoil in markets, much as we saw. That's why you've had this Eurozone crisis over the last few years. Worries that Greece would leave, Ireland would leave, Spain would leave, whatever. So that's the real issue here. So far, there hasn't been much evidence of that. We've had, since the Brexit vote, we had the Spanish election, we've had the Austrian election last December, we've had the Dutch election, which was 2 weeks ago, and the populists have actually seen their support come in well below what was expected. So there hasn't been this populist uprising across Europe. Geert Wilders' party only got 13% of the votes in the recent Dutch election, which was less than they got in 2010. So this argument, I think, that the populists are taking over Europe is probably a bit misplaced, and I suspect that when the French have their vote in a couple of weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time, yes, Marine Le Pen will make it through in the first round, but all the polling suggests that Emmanuel Macron is 20 points ahead of her for the second round. Now, of course, things could change. Things could change. I think Russia's playing a bit of a role here. They might have some dirt on Emmanuel Macron, which will be conveniently released by WikiLeaks just prior to the election. Just like they released stuff on Hillary Clinton, which makes you wonder what's going on here. Are we being manipulated a little bit? And that does worry me. But as things stand, the polls very strongly support a loss for Le Pen in the final round of the presidential election, which I think is May the 7th. So that's just where it's being like. And the poll gap there is 20 percentage points. Around Brexit and around Trump-Clinton, it was around 2 or 3 percentage points. So the outcome in those two was not that, was within what you call the standard error of those polls. Now, why do the Europeans want to stay in the euro? I would say there's several reasons.